This is Andersen Opus 33, number 5. I'll play it first and then we'll go back and I'll discuss the finer points. That is a challenge. And then let me discuss the lesson of number 5. It's not easily seen. One of the challenges of Etude number 5 is that we're asked as flute players to play all of the 3 registers: the low register, the middle register, and the high register. The low register goes from the lowest note of your instrument. In the case of a concert flute, it's either a low B for professional flutes, that's the 3 holes on the bottom, or low C, which for most student flutes they only have 2 keys on the bottom. The low registers from those notes all the way up to the first fingering, that's the same as the low notes. When you get to E in the staff, it's the same fingering for low E as it is for the middle register E. So you have to do something different, and that different thing is you have to increase the speed of the air. When the air speed is doubled under the given fingering, same given fingering, you get the octave. Here's the low. Same fingering. Something has to change. What is that? The airspeed has to double. Okay. Now, airspeed is different from volume. When I say double the speed of air, I'm not talking about blowing harder. There are a lot of negative acoustic consequences to just blowing harder for higher notes. We discussed that in our lessons plenty, so I don't have to tell any of my students that. So, the low register is low note to the middle E. That E to the next E is the middle register. Again, if we finger this E and keep the speed of the air the same, it'll drop back down because all of those notes have the same given speed, relatively. So we have to double the speed. And from that E all the way as high as you can play to the next E above that, that's considered high register for me. This takes us through fluidly. Our motive, we constantly are starting from the bottom note, the low register. We play under a slur through the middle register, and then we approach the upper register, which is very, very difficult to do. Many times when students are reading through this excerpt, they crack a lot. And the reason for your cracking is that you are not adjusting your airspeed as you're going through the different registers. Be mindful of this. One exercise you can do is to print out a copy of this and take a colored pencil and choose 3 different colors. One color may be yellow for the low register, a light blue for the middle register, and then red for the top register. Experiment with what colors. The colors aren't what matter, is that you have 3 distinct colors showing you the 3 different registers. As you play through the colors, you'll be more visually aware than you were before of those breaks and of those changes, which might help you play this a little bit more successfully. At least study it so that when you go back to the plain black and white version, you'll be able to have a greater understanding of it. The next thing that this helps us with is skips of a third. All of these arpeggios, that's the D arpeggio. It's a D chord, D, F sharp, and A, but we traverse around those notes. You see, that's what this etude is helping us do. See chords, but in a horizontal way. So it's breaking up common chords so that we can begin to understand what it sounds like as we're moving through the individual notes through time. This is a great exercise for technical development of the hands, especially as you get further down. We have the keys of B flat and G minor, G minor, C going to C7, dominant 7. If a C7 is the dominant, then the tonic is F, which we're arrive at. E flat. Back to F. So it's a great exercise to see if you can guess for each measure what the chords are. And then finally, stamina. It's not easy to play through it in one go. I'm surprised I did. So it's a great opportunity to, once you've mastered those individual skills, to be able to play all the way through the piece without getting tired. Work on it little by little. There are 3 distinct sections in this piece. Perhaps work for the first day of practice on maybe the first couple of lines. Then in the second day, you can go on to that middle section where it starts modulating to distantly related keys. And then finally, you can go back and try to play the whole thing together. It's beautiful. What I want you to do aesthetically is to play this very difficult etude for flute as though it was the easiest thing in the world. What can you do to achieve that? Well, don't move your body so much. Keep your fingers close to the keys, number 1. Number 2, I don't like what choreography. Why? Let me explain. Oftentimes, flute players' movements are unconscious and uncontrolled. And those movements can sometimes go contrary to producing a beautiful sound. Oftentimes it helps, but not the majority of the time in my experience with my students. If I were to pantomime what I see in the flute community sometimes, the music could be, let me do this exercise. A beautiful melody that asks us to crescendo and diminuendo on the simplest of melodies. Sometimes when I hear people play it, and they look like this. All of that movement is absolutely unnecessary. Once you've mastered the skill of manipulating sound, move however you want, as long as it doesn't distract or detract from you producing what the music asks for. But oftentimes we do it in reverse because we feel something, the beauty of the music or the agitation from the music. For certain people who are more kinesthetic than And then others, they have no choice but to react to the music. It's not a bad thing to move to music. It's part of our human nature. However, if you want to learn how to master this immovable object, this piece of metal, I first suggest that you narrow into the goal of your study. In this case, it's an etude, and there's something to be learned in every single study. Try to limit extraneous movement, and I promise you, you'll get to your goal sooner. Once you've mastered it, then there are all sorts of ways to add choreography that perhaps that focused thought about how you move your body will enable you to play it even better. But only, in my opinion, after you've mastered the technical demands of the piece. I hope I've made myself clear and not gotten into too much trouble. Stay still. Stay still and focus on the music. After you've mastered that, do whatever you want. Okay? All right. Well, that's the end for me. Hopefully not metaphorically, but that's the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed studying this piece, and I look forward to teaching number 6 to you. Take care, and have a great day. Bye-bye.